Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Well, you raised me up. The energy that you all bring creates a wonderful stage in which to give. And we all give in our own separate way. And there's time for, we're all teachers and we're all students. And I just received your gift to feed me this day. And know that we all can lift each other up. It's as simple as that. We just go into our heart and allow that love to flow. And then we'll hear those words. Good job, little brother. Good job, little sister. Keep it loving. So anyways, today's Palm Sunday. And this is a very important day for Jesus the Christ. Palm Sunday, this is his last entrance into Jerusalem. Every step in his life has led to this moment. All the experiences that he has had, all the love that he has given has led to this moment. And we call this moment, Palm Sunday, the moment that raised consciousness bowed to the Christ. Raised consciousness bowed to the Christ. It was that moment in time when that critical mass did turn to love. The people chose what they felt, not what they feared. And the people chose what they felt, not what they feared. For they had been living in a very fear-based reality. And 3 years that Jesus walked demonstrating love in all aspects and all avenues of life was enough to wake up the tired masses. And they chose. I choose love. I choose love. I'm ready to let go of fear. I'm ready to let go the laws that have held me in limitation. In the story of Palm Sunday, we've all probably seen it in the movies and on TV. Jesus rides into Jerusalem on the back of an ass. The people are celebratory. It's a big celebration, and they're throwing the palms in front of him as he walks along. And it's this grand, triumphant scene. And Jesus riding into Jerusalem on an ass is very humbling. It was a sign of humility. No self-respecting Semite would ride in the town on the back of an ass. And Jesus humbled himself. He wasn't recognized, he wasn't invited by the rabbis and the leaders of the people at that time. So he rode in a lowly, humble figure on this ass, and the people exalted him. They celebrate him. Hosanna in the highest. Here's the Lord of hosts, the Son of David. The Pharisees couldn't understand. That's the last thing that they wanted to happen. The Pharisees told him, quiet down these people. He said, if I quieted them down, the stones would cry out. Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of an ass to show them that he didn't need their permission to be the love of God made manifest. He rode in on the back of an ass because he was establishing his kingdom that was not of this world. And that's a powerful, powerful statement to make. And that's why when the people called him king and the children were singing these songs of Hosanna to him, they let him. He let them. Because this is the day that he's establishing his kingdom. All through his ministry, people would try to raise him up and call him good. Don't call me good. None but the Father in heaven is good. At that juncture in his ministry, when he was teaching and healing, he had a different relationship with the people. And now he was accepting, and he was allowing them to turn to the Christ now, to surrender, to love. And that's why we say the people bowed to the Christ. The journey to Jerusalem was 3 years, and he had many experiences that laid the foundation, that opened up the eyes of the people, opened up the hearts of the people. And one of the major things that happened several weeks before he came into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, a friend of his cousin, Lazarus, had died. And Mary and Martha and Lazarus lived in Bethany, not too far outside of Jerusalem, and that was kind of like a haven of rest that Jesus would always go to when he was coming through town. And he could go there and just relax and be with them, and he loved Mary and Martha and Lazarus. They were his true brothers and sisters in spirit. And he got the call that Lazarus has died, and he knew that he was just sleeping. And so he waited a couple of days, and then he went to Bethany. When he gets to Bethany, Martha runs out and says, "Jesus, where have you been? If you would have been here, Lazarus wouldn't have died. I know that you have the power. I know that you have the power to raise the dead to life. I wish you would have been here." He goes, "I am the resurrection. I am the life." "Yeah, I still wish you would have been here." Like missing the message. To hear the words, "I believe, but not now." And then he sends her to go get Mary. And so then when Mary comes down, she goes, "Jesus, I know that if you would have been here, our brother would still be alive." You know. And Jesus goes, "I am the life. This is going to happen." So then he goes back to the house with Mary. And there are a bunch of mourners there, and Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. And when Jesus comes to that house, and there are all these people there, and these are his spiritual family on earth. The shortest sentence in the Bible, but the most profound sentence I think ever written, Jesus wept. Jesus wept. If you close your eyes and just think about it, Jesus wept, you can just feel the love that he had for these people, and the love and the faith that they had for him. Jesus wept. So he says, "Roll away the stone from the tomb." "I don't know if that's a good idea, Jesus. Lazarus has been in there for 4 days, and it might be an unhealthy sight." Roll the stone away. They roll the stone away. The first thing that Jesus does, and it's really cool, and it's really a lesson for us to remember in our petition in our life, turns to God. "God, my Father, thou hast always heard my prayer." Who has always heard my prayer. God always hears a prayer. I know you're with me. Make strong this word today to show the people that you're with us. And he calls forth Lazarus, and Lazarus comes out. And then he says, "Unbind him, take off those burial cloths," and walks out. and there's like a grand demonstration of the power of the Christ, the power of love. This doesn't make the Pharisees happy. It just kind of fuels the fire because they want to kill Jesus. So this is, I guess, we know he's coming to town, so they start planning. We can't let him escape anymore. Jesus is with his people. They're going to head to Jerusalem now. On the way, they pass a blind man on the side of the road, and the blind man says to us, "Hey, what's happening?" It's, "Jesus is passing." He starts yelling, "Jesus, Jesus, help me, help me, help me." And the people around him are saying, "Bartimaeus, be quiet. Don't you know your place? You're blind, you're a beggar. This holy man's walking by." Jesus stopped and said, "Who is that?" And they said, "It's a blind man." So he says, "Come here, Bartimaeus." Bartimaeus jumps up, tears off his robes, runs to Jesus. And Jesus says, "What would you have?" "I'd have my sight." And Jesus says, "Look up, look up. And through your faith, your sight will be restored." Bartimaeus looks up and he can see. Another demonstration of the power of love, the power of the Christ. And so this sets the stage. Jesus is heading into Jerusalem now. The masses are hearing these stories. A bunch of people saw this demonstration, and they not only want to see Jesus, but they'd like to see Lazarus too and talk with him. Wouldn't you like to see someone that had been raised from the dead? Hey, what was it like over there? So you can see the excitement that's built around there. The people, the children are excited and everything. On one side, we've got the Pharisees and the rulers not so happy on the other. And it's this big mix of energy that's going on. Jesus goes into the temple, teaches and heals the multitudes. The priests come to him and say, "What are you doing?" They don't want him there. And then Jesus preaches to the people. And he tells them, he foretells what's going to happen to their people. And he said, "You're my people. And I love you and I have loved you. And it's just a shame that you haven't seen this love that is for you. And that everything's going to start changing. And what's going to happen is that their whole race is going to be destroyed. The temple's going to be destroyed. The temple's destroyed in less than 40 years. The Hebrew nation is scattered at this time. But the love that he has, he's still teaching them. He's still trying to tell them what's up and that they can still choose. They still have some choices left. And to look at that Palm Sunday, race consciousness, bowing to the Christ, race consciousness, choosing a love-based reality instead of a fear-based reality. And then we can begin to look and say, well, what about us? What about us? The people had been focused on a material way of life. Everything was focused on the outer. Everything was focused on the outer. Jesus gives the people a new identity within. You're spiritual beings. You're children of God. You're children of God. So he begins to work with their identity now. Begin to raise their vision. Raise your vision. Raise your vision of self. Raise your vision of your brothers and sisters. So now they're ready to focus on spirit. They were ready to focus on love. So when Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is not of this world. This world that we live in, this is the world of effect. This is the world of matter. This is the material world. You see, I didn't come to be king of the material world. My kingdom is not of this world. So this is the effect. So the kingdom of the Christ is the causal realm, the creating realm. And people had been dealing with life on that material level and trying to alter material with material, matter with matter, and the cycle just kept going around. And Jesus is trying to lift them up out of that cycle to understand that spirit is the true creator. Spirit is creator. That's your identity. And spirit is love. The postulate that Jesus brought to the Hebrew nation was love is Son of God. Love is Son of God. We are all the sons and daughters of God. We are all love. We are all that God loves. And as we turn to the outer, we are really turning away from love, you see, because that love is within us. So that's what when we say, raise consciousness, bow to the Christ, raise consciousness, bow or turn to that love now, that love identity, that new identity. See, God, this whole universe is built with that love. That's the natural energy, that's the natural vibration that everything's created in and as. And so as we turn to love, the love within us, that allows us to connect with the love in every energy around us. That brings us into harmony. It brings us into harmony with God. It allows us to transcend the limitations of matter. And then the proverbial world as we know it ends. And we begin to live in a new world of higher consciousness, a new world of love. And so the love that is available to us all as we go with them allows us to transcend our fear. See, there's a direct ratio in the fear that's within man and the power that's in matter or the material world. You see, the more fear that we hold within us, the more power matter, material world has over us. Jesus saw this, the Christ saw that. This is what we're trying to free ourselves from. Spirit creates matter. There's nothing wrong with matter. But it's a poor master. So as we begin to turn back to the Christ, turn back to the love within us, that allows us to begin to raise above. We're pulling our energy, the power that we give to matter, the material world, we're pulling our power, our energy out of that, you see. And we're bringing it home. We're bringing it home. And now we're going to take that energy and say, what do I want to create for the good of the whole? What do I want to create for the good of the whole? See, the one teaching that Jesus really brought to the planet was service, was giving. Was giving. You know, the world looks and judges at what we all have. Spirit looks at what we give. I wonder why that message was so ignored for so long. It's not what we have. It's not what we hold on to. It's what we give. What we give. And it's all about service. When one is helped, all are helped. See, we are one. If God is running in and through all of creation, through all of us, see, through all of us, that's what his message was. That behavior modification message was. When one is harmed, all are harmed. It's a law. So when we step out of the law of love, we create, usually, judgment, and then we're separating from the whole. We're separating from the whole. And can we do that? Not really. That's why we keep coming back. That's why we get to keep having more experiences and more lessons in more lifetimes. So to begin to look at, some of the choices that we make and to look at some of those stories, like that Lazarus story, the first thing they did is they rolled away that stone of materiality that blocks our spirituality. So maybe we could look at our life and say, what am I focused on in the material world that blocks my spirituality, that blocks my spiritual expression? We all got something different. But we could look at that to recognize that Christ is within us all, that love's within us all. Recognize that, accept it, and then stand up. And when they loosed those burial clothes off of Lazarus, that was the identity of the old authority. So now he has a new identity with a new consciousness, a love-based consciousness. Bartimaeus, he didn't let the world tell him who he was, did he? I'm standing up. I'm going to the Christ. Hey, Jesus, I want my sight. He didn't wait. And then what did he do? He's running to Jesus. He's pulling off his robes, his clothing, his old identity. I'll get rid of my old identity for sight. What are we focusing on that blinds us to our spirituality? We all got something. The stories are really interesting and they're really enlightening. But we got to go a little bit deeper. We got to look a little deeper. We got to listen a little bit deeper. So, as we begin to acknowledge the energy of love that runs in and through all of creation, and that we're part of that, as we align with that energy, then we begin to draw to us, all those experiences that would be our heart's desire. You see, in the world of matter or the material world, we're always using force. We're always pushing to get what we want or to create what we want. But in the world of spirit, when we get into that vibrational love, we're like this giant love magnet, and it draws to us. We draw to us that which we would desire. That's the kingdom that the Christ is leading us to. So, I guess we've got some choices. Can we let go of pushing or being so hard with life and move into that softer space of love? You know, relationships are really cool. Like Cindy and I, we have a great relationship. Awesome for me. I'm totally blessed every single day. But sometimes when I might get, I am right. And my energy gets a little strong. I'm forcing my rightness. Jill, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You see, I've got to pull my energy back and get into love. And you know, when I pull my energy and get into love, usually my perspective changes. Usually I get to see a bigger picture. I'm more inclusive and accepting of the situation I was in 10 seconds ago. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way that we could all begin to employ in our life. Let me pull my energy back just a second. Let me bow to the Christ, return to God consciousness. Now, our vision opens up. We begin to see a bigger picture. We begin to see ourselves. And what's most important, we begin to see the other person's place and importance and relevancy in the world and in our world. That's the gift of the Christ. That's the gift of Spirit. That's the gift of oneness. And as we begin, all of us, begin to move into our hearts more and more and more. And then we can draw those energies, say, we will draw the energies to planet Earth that will transform planet Earth. You see, we want to do it with force, don't we? We want to force people to do what's right for the planet because we know what's right for the planet. We might know a little bit of what's right for it, but we don't know that it's all right. So as we get into our heart, we lift into heart consciousness, we open up to a bigger picture. Now God, Spirit, can flow to us, flow through every being on the planet. You see? And we will draw to us. See, we'll be the magnet now and draw that spiritual energy that can transform this planet. That's the bigger picture that's going on. So we just got to a little bit change our perception a little bit, and then surrender, bow to the Christ. I tell people all the time, we're not losing anything. You're not going to lose anything when you surrender to God. You're gaining. We gain. And so the world that Jesus came to establish on planet Earth was that heavenly state of consciousness, that oneness consciousness, that love consciousness. And we are the participants. We are the choosers. And as we choose the higher, as we choose love, and then begin to support that choice with our feet and our hands and our eyes, we'll begin to see it. And you know, we're seeing it every day. It's really awesome. We're blessed to see transformations every day. We work with hundreds of people all the time, and their personal world is transforming before their eyes. And that shows us that our world's transforming before our eyes. Yes, the end of the world is at hand, but we're still here. How good's that? So we have the choice to stay in our will as long as we want. We have the opportunity to return to the Christ whenever we want. It's our choice. But until we turn and bow to the Christ, we get to experience all the lessons that the denial of love has for us. We get to experience all the lessons that the denial of love have for us. So that's our homework. Be loving. The lessons go away. Let's go within. So let's just close our eyes, and as we sit in our chairs once again, just breathing and just breathe that gentle breath of love. Holy breath is the only breath. Holy breath is the only breath. Just breathe in holy breath now. Breathe in God's love. Ask that God's love move through you. Ask that God's love heals your body. Ask that God's love clear your vision. Ask that God's love unstop your ears. Ask God's love to open up your heart. Ask God that you be a channel of this love freely. I ask to feel your love, Father. I ask to be a channel of your love. Just breathe and feel your energy getting soft and expanded, allowing that love to flow through you. And just feel your radiance now. Your unique light, your unique radiance. This is who you are. And just become aware of the presence of Jesus the Christ. You might feel the presence in your heart. You might feel the presence of the Christ standing before you. Just feel the presence of Jesus the Christ now. And just feel your heart opening to that Christ love. I desire to be transformed through Christ's love. And just allow that love, waves of love, to sweep through you, over you. And if there's any area in your life where you are denying love, ask now. Ask Jesus the Christ now to show you how you can move from fear to love. Just breathe. Breathe in those soothing words. Breathe in the soothing love. Breathe in the knowing that it's as simple as choosing. I choose love. I bow to the Christ. I choose love. And just breathe and feel your radiant love from your heart, radiant through your body, through your aura, through your whole sphere of consciousness, that radiant light and love. You just send that into the world. Send it into your personal world. To touch the heart of everyone in your personal world. Send it out to the whole world. Take our love, world. Take our love. And just breathe and receive now. Receive the greater love. Be still and know. I am with you always. So just breathe and feel your unique vibration of love. This is who you are. This is who I am. Just gently open your eyes. When we think, act, and speak in love, our world transforms. Are you ready to transform this world? Yes. A resounding yes from the multitudes. Yes. Yay, guys.